We are continuing on time with someone that I have known for my whole academic life, actually when I started my academic life, and that is Dr. Kumares Sinha. He will be talking about reflections of a life in transportation engineering. El doctor Kumares Sinha es una persona que he conocido desde que comencé mi vida académica y nos va a hablar de reflexiones de una vida en ingeniería de transportes. Kumares, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jorge. Time sure flies fast. I'm going to talk about my career and over 50 years as a transportation engineering educator, and I'll draw some lessons from that experience that may be useful to my younger colleagues. Okay, I started my career in 1960s after graduate school. I grew up in India. I did my undergraduate in civil engineering in India. I came to this country in 1964, and I started working in traffic engineering. That was the 1960s. We were having the really big time, the interstate construction in this country. And I got involved in that and did a lot of traffic engineering work using computer simulation of the performance of what the interstates would be around the country. And that's really the beginning of the 50 years of highway age that I consider. The next slide, please. So I came, this is the motorization that has taken place over last few decades. The total population of the world is the lowest line, the blue line, and is growing, but urban population is going much faster. And motor vehicle fleet, total fleet that we have is going much faster. And use of automobiles was going very fast. Then 2010, it started to go lesser. It's increasing, but at a lesser rate. Now we are 2020, we are at a point we're asking ourselves what the highway age has brought to us, not just in America, but in the whole world. Next slide, please. Okay, so legacy of highway age for this country, for the United States, it has unprecedented mobility. You can go from one point from New York to Los Angeles without stopping for this one traffic light. The mobility that it has provided is just unbelievable. With that has come accessibility and economic prosperity. This country has enjoyed last 50 years is also largely due to the highways. But it has also brought a lot of other problems, the con side, injuries, traffic injuries and fatalities. We used to have 55,000 people die in this country every year. It has gone down because we have done some improvements, quite a bit of improvements in vehicles and road infrastructure, but not so much with the human beings. So we still have quite a few number, 40,000 people that die every year. And that can only be resolved by taking the drivers out of driving. And I'll come to that a little later. Congestion, delay, we all know the air pollution, noise pollution, urban sprawl, public health, climate change. And these are the problems that we're facing. Now, we started 1970s and 80s, urban transit to try to make people divert people from automobile, particularly single occupancy automobiles, to multi-use buses and carpool, vanpool. And I got involved quite a bit, and I was at that time at a small school, Marquette University in Milwaukee. but I was very successful getting a lot of grants from UMTA, which is now FTA, Federal Transit Administration. And then I came to Purdue in 1974. Next slide. 1974, and it's a lot of other things were going on. And I joined some people from other parts of the university and also outside the university. We got some funding and we came to this mobility enterprise. We came up with that. That is one of the first experiments in this country, if not in the world, to have shared use of automobiles, because we found that 80% of the trips we make, they can be made by a golf cart. But we buy our automobiles thinking about the extreme use, the summer vacation trips or going to ballpark with a whole bunch of children and their friends. So we came up with the idea of mobility enterprise, where the members, people who will be subscribed and be a member, and everybody will be given use of a small vehicle. You can see a picture there. And then whenever they need a larger vehicle, they will get from the enterprise. And this is an actual experiment. We had vehicles and we ran for 4 years at Purdue. And then agreement was that it has to be abandoned on all the vehicles that we brought from around the world. They have to be crumbled into block of metal. We had to demolish them. But this provided a lot of opportunity for us to learn, and also provided information for future generation, things like Zipcar, Lyft, Uber, the shared use of resources. And then next slide, please. I will not give you all blow by. Next one. Yes, I came to Purdue. I became friendly with, or came across, or came to know a legendary highway engineer, Eldon Yoder, Professor Yoder. And he got me introduced to the idea of how to use economics and statistics and operations research to do optimal resource allocation, optimal timings for life cycle repair, rehabilitation over a life cycle, over a time period, and looking into performance and cost. And that's where I got into big time into looking into the effectiveness of maintenance. We spend a lot of money on maintenance, whether they're any effective or not. And then I got involved in other aspects of highway infrastructure, bridges and others. And that's really over 10, 15, 20 years. I worked on these things in asset management. Next slide, please. Okay. And that brought me to policy and the highway cost allocation, pricing, and taxation policies, working with the legislature, changing the taxation rates, particularly for the truckers, the permit fees, and also the fuel tax and other kinds of issues that I got involved. Then next slide, please. Then now what I'm showing, that a career of an engineer is not fixed. You start with something, then you move. As the technology changes, society changes, we change. We respond to that to solve problems. Now I'm involved in some of the emerging technologies. Now, I will just only point out one thing. The automation, you're hearing about a lot of autonomous transportation. The main reason we are looking into automation because we want to take the driver out of driving. Because over the last 50 years, we did a lot of improvement on infrastructure and the vehicles. But the third item, driver, we could not do much. So only way you can do improvement in the safety is by taking driver out of driving. That's the reason, main reason for automation. Okay, next slide, please. So we are involved in pedagogical efforts. I'll skip some of the things I did, but I'll show the lower part of the slide. We are in education in knowledge business. We create knowledge by doing research. We disseminate that knowledge by teaching to the current generation, and we also mentor for people for future generations. We preserve our work by publishing archival journal publications, and we transfer that knowledge you have created by applying. Now, this is a very important point I want to make. The difference between an engineer and a scientist, we're not scientists, we're engineers. We apply science. Engineer just cannot do research and put it away for future. We have to apply to find solutions of current problems and think about future problems. So then it brings me to the students I had around the world. One of them, I want to show the middle, Benjamin Colucci, my former student. I inherited him from Professor Yoder, and he's in Puerto Rico, University of Puerto Rico. I also had, because it's a Pan-American academy, I had a lot of students from different parts of South America and Central America, Chile, the Senator of Chile, and a lot of other. Now, I think our job, our goal should be actively participate in professional societies, not just participate, but take leadership and try to reform in some of the, take initiatives to improve the profession. Next slide. And a big part, as I said, our work is not just to do research, but to apply, to be involved in practical work. That's the engagement. And I had the opportunity to work with the World Bank for over 30 years. And I thought that was a wonderful experience to learn and also to apply what I'm doing. Next slide. This is my final slide. What advice do I have for the next generation of transportation engineers? As a matter of fact, next generation of engineering educators. Think impact. What we're doing, how it is impacting society, how much service we're providing to society, not only to our community, but to the world of engineering or quality of life of all the people. Be open to new ideas because, again, as I said, you don't remain fixed. You change with technology and the socioeconomic conditions around you, the context. Do not hesitate to share your wealth. Wealth means not money, but knowledge and other things, resources. In the university, that's very important. The people oftentimes don't like to share the grants, the money, their real estate, the office spaces, etc. Give credit where credit is due. I learned over a period of time that you can accomplish a lot if you don't worry about who gets the credit. We all get the credit. Remember, you can learn from your junior colleagues and your students. Some of your students become your teachers. And I learned from Benjamin Colucci. Participate in professional societies, engage in lifelong learning, and be patient. Recognition will come. Take time. Important thing is to take time to smell the flowers along the way. Have fun. Not just work, have fun. Above all, be charitable to people around you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sinha. This was very, very appropriate in the times we live.